praying to the flame, and you start saying, "Oh flame, help me."
No,
Oh flame. No, people do.
Nobody does that.
People do. They say Ya Ram. It's for Ram, for example. They pray to Ram, right?
Even if I read now,
Uh-huh.
as I said at the start, I will believe what I believe. But that is what I believe. So it's no point.
Right, but like you said, if there's a God, then we should submit. We should do what God. Right.
Yeah,
So
in
if
whichever
God,
way you have understood that God and learned to love that God.
but then you're making your own way, not the way of God, right?
No, but I know what Prophet Muhammad said.
Okay.
I know what Buddha said.
But have you read the Quran?
I have read the book that I bought specifically
Okay.
on Prophet Muhammad as a person, and I was very impressed with him.
Good.
Yes, because he was a compassionate man.
Very
He said,
merciful.
Respect all religions, and so I understood. And in between, maybe there is a Quranic home, I'm not sure. But I read on the internet about
Nice.
religion. I know a lot about Buddhism. And as I said, with Hinduism, I don't agree with everything.
Good.
But then that gives me the freedom
Sure.
to worship that God that
Right.
all religions say what I should be doing in this world.
Is worship the one God.
Making whether Shiva existed or Vishnu existed or monkey god existed or
Right.
anybody else existed. What is the message that I am supposed to follow in this world?
Right.
Love and compassion.
Right, but-
not
but-
make distinction. If
but-
I go past the mosque, if I feel, oh, that is the meaning that represents that God there, whichever God we might wish to call him by, it doesn't matter.
Right, but when we submit to our Creator, then it's not for us to decide how I want to worship Him.
Yeah.
Then we submit to how the Creator tells us, right?
But I think
Wouldn't that
I
make
know
sense?
what the Creator told me. The Creator said, just love Him and believe in Him.
For example, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about abortion,
Oh, I heard.
is abortion morally correct or incorrect?
Morally is not correct.
But there are people that feel that abortion is morally correct.
Well, then you see, you have to look at the circumstances of people, why they did that. You might force them to not do it, don't abort.
For example-
and then the rest of the life that person is suffering with
Okay.
whatever. Is that morally correct?
Right, so
Am
that's
I here to judge that person? No.
so that's a good
Judge not.
Well-
Judge not that he be judged.
right. But then that,
Matthew chapter
for
7,
example,
verse 1.
then you look at, for example, that somebody murders somebody. Do you judge them?
I think that's wrong.
To judge them, or
I judge them in the sense
you
that
just said
he-
don't judge them, right?
No, I didn't judge them, but opinion, God said, thou shalt not kill.
There you go.
So I'm not judging, I'm
Excellent.
following what was said.
That's exactly right. So
But-
following what God says,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So this is the point, that we don't make our own method.
No,
we
killing
follow.
somebody
Uh-huh.
is nothing, even if God didn't say that.
Right.
By killing somebody, you have destroyed his happiness. You
Right.
have destroyed the love.
But why
of
is that
God.
wrong?
What right have I got to
So great point. Now you look at in Israel, for example, you just mentioned Gaza.
Yeah.
They're killing children, right?
They shouldn't be.
So should you not judge them for the massacre they're doing?
Of course we judge them for
There you go. So what do you judge by?
that they have done the killing.
Right, but they feel they're justified.
Well, then they can feel what they want to feel.
But they're wrong, right? Me and you would agree.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is why the Quran
Yeah.
is the laws of God. Right? Where God tells us how should we pray, how should we fast.
Yeah,
Because
you see, that's where I don't think. That's where I can't fit in.
right, why not?
I know you are not trying to convert me.
No, I'm not.
As I'm saying, if I were a Muslim,
Yes.
then I cannot go. If I'm walking past the church
Right.
or a temple, church, I know you accept temple or Buddhism,
Temple, right? Yeah.
then I will feel I cannot even go in as if it's a haram.
You can go in and give them dawah. It's not an issue. I've been to a church before.
Yeah.
It's not that, but
Church is no problem.
but- or
I
even-
can't
I've been
eat
to a Hindu
anything
temple,
they
right?
give me, I can't eat.
if it's halal, you can eat it, right? As long as it's not like pork or something, right?
No,
We don't need pork.
The Quran says that it was offered to the God.
Well, of course, if they're offering it to a false deity, then I think you would agree that.
Well, then I think the deity, they're offering it in their mind, they're offering it to God, yeah?
Well, again, so that's where we discussed earlier, right?
Yeah.
That if there is one God,
Yeah.
and if you're saying that, for example, Buddha is a person, a human being, and you take him as God, then obviously he's not the same as Vishnu, right?
But look at Buddha, yeah?
Yeah.
Buddha never wrote about God.
Agreed.
Yeah. So
Why would people worship him instead of following?
yeah, people say not to worship him.
But people do worship him. I was in Thailand. I've seen it, right?
No. People always do things they're not supposed to.
Exactly. So when we say that don't worship Buddha, worship the God that created Buddha, you would agree.
No, but to them, God exists in the idea of him. That's all.
Well, but-
He is
but-
not
but-
worshipping that statue Buddha or that man.
But they do
Buddha.
pray to
but
Buddha.
Sorry?
They do pray to Buddha, right? I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes, right?
People pray
So, so we agreed already.
To them, they think they're praying to the God, and
Yeah,
the
but-
prayer will go there.
But that's a great idea. Though, why don't we tell them, hey, pray to the God, don't pray to the creation.
Yeah, they don't
But they're not.
disagree with
When
that.
they're praying to Buddha,
They're praying. I think they're pinning their thought on something,
huh?
to just sit there and pray without. It's very difficult, to concentrate solidly on something. As I said, I light a lamp and there is a flame there.
Yeah.
And that flame is the focus.
Right.
Then you remember that this is what I'm doing. And so like that.
Right.
That flame is not God.
Agreed.
But it flickers, it reminds me of something eternal.
Sure, but if you start praying to the flame and you start saying, "Oh flame, help me,"
No,
"Oh
no,
flame,"
no.
people do.
Nobody does that.
People do. They say, "Ya Ram," for Ram, for example, they pray to Ram, right? They ask of, different deities.
That is the end of the day.
Oh, that's a great question. What does it mean to be good?
They're kind to others, they feed people, and they don't kill anybody, and they love.
Well, I mean, again,
whoever is around, be Hindu, Muslim, Sikh,
I
Isai,
mean, if that's the definition, then no country in the world is good, because every country in the world has an army, right? So.
Most of the time, people don't follow what they're even taught by their parents. Leave aside,
Right.
Prophet Muhammad saying,
Sallallahu alaihi
Buddha saying, or Shiva, whoever. People just don't follow what parents tell them.
Well, so this is a great point. Instead of us doing what we want, if we follow what God tells us to follow,
Start off with following what you know at least.
yeah, of course.
10 commandments, for example. I'm not a Christian.
I follow the 10 Commandments, right?
but that's
I believe I don't worship idols.
Muhammad said,
But look
be
at the
modest.
second-
For
look-
women, be modest.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't wear a scarf, doesn't matter. Be modest.
No, but the Prophet didn't say it. If you don't wear a
Yeah,
scarf, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But again, now you talk about 10 Commandments. What's the second commandment?
Number one,
Don't worship idols.
don't worship idols.
Right?
They say don't worship.
Yeah, the second commandment, right?
I don't remember because I don't think